Phil Austin Podcast. Fill in the Blank Podcast, hosted by Phil Austin. Each episode thus far features interviews with people who have crossed paths in life with the host, Phil Austin. Welcome to this episode of Fill in the Blank with the host, Phil Austin. And his special guest, well, I'll let him tell you. I'm just the announcer, Phil Austin.
Welcome back to another episode of Fill in the Blank Podcast. I am your host, Phil Austin. We have another wonderful episode ready to go for you. It's just me today. It's just me, myself, and I ready to give you another great podcast. So welcome to the show. I'm thankful that you had an opportunity just to stop in, take a listen. Today's title of this podcast that's just me is called It's Not About the Destination, It's About the Journey. Because the journey for my life the last 5 years has been quite a journey. And I've got some good news, I've got some great news, and I just feel like it's the perfect timing just to kind of explain, kind of go over, just to kind of talk to my peoples about this journey that I've been going through. It started about 5 years ago, 2016. That's where this journey started taking place. I'm here, I'm ready. But 2016 is where it started. I mentioned in a previous podcast that I had closed my business. I had moved on and started working for another company, another entity. And I was kind of out of my element. I was not in a place that I would normally think that I would ever be. Essentially, I was working for an entity that was in sales and marketing at this point, but it was a full-time job. It had decent pay. It had benefits. I had a paycheck every single time, every single week. So that was a blessing. And so transitioning from closing my business where I didn't always have a paycheck. When you're working for yourself, you don't always have an opportunity to pay yourself. I didn't really have any great benefits. And I was working, like I said, 70 to 80 hours a week. So to work for somebody else at that point in my life was ideal. So I was working for this company, kind of out of my element in a sales and marketing job. And as much as I like sales, I hate sales. To be honest with you, I absolutely hate sales. Why? Because that's your bread and butter. You have to go out and sell stuff. You have to go out and be likable. You have to go out and be able to network and socialize. And that's a great part because I feel like I have those assets. I can do that. But there's also a genuineness that comes along with that bothers me. For instance, when you're in sales and marketing, to me, I could be myself. I could be the nice person. I can be the friendly, the social, the outgoing person. But at the end of the day, I still have to ask you for $1. At the end of the day, I have to go, hey, thanks. It was nice rapping with you. It was good to meet you. Can I have some money? And to me, that's it was kind of fake. I could be genuine to people, but it was still fake to me because I still had to ask you for money at the end of the day. Yes, I was selling you a product. Yes, I was selling you a service. Yes, I was selling, something that you may want or desire and may not need. I don't know. But the point is that maybe that whatever I was selling you was, nice to have, but not necessarily nice to need. So I would have to present myself and still ask for $1 at the end of the day, which bothered me. So I hate sales. I hate the fact that I can't be genuine with people, have fun with people, socialize with people. And at the end of the day, I still have to ask for $1. That just isn't me. So I hate sales in that regard. Everything else is nice. But in that regard, I hate it. And that's how you have to get fed. That's how you make money. That's how, Wolf of Wall Street, that's the mantra. But for me, it just doesn't sit well. So anyway, I was in this job working with sales and marketing, and I was also helping them out do some of their eBay services. And this place was again far from what I've ever ever thought I would be in my life. I didn't come from an agricultural background. I didn't come from, heavy machinery type background. I didn't have any of that. I grew up in the desert where, we don't have a lot of farming. So we don't have a lot of farm equipment. So completely out of my element. Didn't know much about anything had to do with agriculture or farming. I just don't. That's just the way it goes. So I was working for this company and I was helping them out with their eBay, and I was standing in the back of this is where it all started for me. I liked the people that I was working with. I enjoyed the company I was working for. But at the same time, I was standing in the back of their warehouse, helping them with their eBay, their packaging, their shipping stuff. And, I kept thinking, I would have these moments, I would have these thoughts going, I thought that I would become more. I was looking at the avenues through this company, if there was a chance for me to move forward, if there was a chance for me to progress, there was a chance for me to move up. And I didn't really see a lot of avenues. Maybe down in time would come to pass where I could elevate myself, to a more manager position or something. It didn't matter. But there was not a lot of advancement. There wasn't a lot of opportunity to grow. And I can remember thinking, standing in the back of this warehouse where it was dirty a lot of the times with dust and just dirt, and it was dark, it was cold, it was just not really warm and friendly. But I can remember standing in the back of this place thinking, is this it? Is this where, this is where I'm going to be for the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years? Is this all that there is? Is this all that I've amounted to? So I'm standing in the back of this warehouse. And again, the thoughts come to me, is this all there is? Is this all that we were supposed to become? I just thought that there was going to be so much more that I would aspire to. I just thought that there would be so much more that my life would grow to become. And it was kind of depressing. It was kind of like, well, I guess this is it. But that's what's got the wheels turning. That's what's got the wheels kind of in motion to go, I have this degree, this bachelor's degree, but it's really not worth much in this area. It really can't get me a jobs where I would go. So I did start to look kind of elsewhere to kind of go, what else is in this area is out there for me? What else is in this area? Where else can I aspire to for a job here? And a lot of the jobs in this area, it's very blue collar. So it requires a lot of, education, certain certifications, which I don't have. So it's like, I'm 38 years old, what other options are for me? I don't want to go back to school. Why? Because I hate school. I hate school. I've told you before, y'all, I'm not a school person. I don't like it at all. I'm just not a school person. But that's what I knew ultimately it would have to be, some sort of education, some sort of skill to obtain if I wanted to get anywhere into another industry. And that's kind of where this all accumulated towards. But I was stuck. At that point in time, I was stuck, and I felt like I had settled with this job. I felt like I had settled. I felt like I had stuck. And my sister, Katie, had once told me, and this was a long time ago and it had a completely irrelevance to the topic, but she told me, Phil, one of the things you never want to do in life is you never want to settle. Don't just settle, whether it be in a relationship, whether it be in a job, whether it be with where you're living. If you're happy, that's what it comes down to, but don't settle. And I took that and I started thinking about this, settling and getting stuck. And, to me, what settling is think of it like, you have an old shirt, or you have a shirt that one time you wore, a few years ago or whatever, or at a certain time in your life. And, it was a great shirt. It looked good on you. You'd loved wearing that shirt going out, or, maybe it was a gown or something like that you loved to wear going out, and you just looked good in it. And, it was like, oh yeah, this is rocking. Or maybe a good pair of pants, good fitting jeans, you just love to wear and go out. And it once fit good and it looked really good on you, once upon a time. And you still have that piece of clothing hanging up in your closet, right? And now you go to your closet and you see that shirt or that blouse or that gown or those jeans, and you're like, man, one day I don't fit into that exactly anymore. It doesn't fit the way it used to. My body's changed a little bit, or I've kind of grown out of it, whatever the case is, but it's still hanging in your closet because you're like, well, maybe one day I'll wear that again. One day I'll be at that ideal weight where it'll fit good and it'll look good on me. One day I'll have the confidence to wear that again. So one day I'll have the confidence to just put that back on. One day I'll get back to that place in my life where it looked good on me and I felt good wearing it. And you constantly, every single time you go into your closet, every day you go in your closet, you look at that and that's your thought. But you do nothing to change that. You make the same statements and you think the same process, but you do nothing to change. You think about it, but you do little to make your circumstances change. This is what settling is. To me, this is what settling is all about. You see it in front of you. You know you want to change, but you do nothing about it. So you've just settled and accepted it. And for some people, that's fine. But that's what settling means to me, is having something where you once want to get back to, but you don't do anything to change. So that's where I was at this point in time in my life. I had settled, and I just thought that there would be so much more for me in my life. I thought that there would be so much, I would grow, I would aspire, that's where I was. And it was kind of depressing. So the wheels started to turn. The wheels started to turn for me of, okay, where can I go? What kind of direction can I go into? And, sometimes I feel in life, and I'm a spiritual person. I have my faith in God. And, there's sometimes in your life where you just have to listen to other people around you to where God will speak to you. And this is kind of one of those moments, I had a neighbor of mine, and I remember having this conversation with him. We were talking about life in general. He said, you know what you would look good? You know what you would do good? Kind of job you would do good in? I was like, I don't know. What is it? And he said, EMT. I'm like, what? Yeah. You're riding in an ambulance, EMT, you'd be great at that. And I'm like, EMT? No, I'm not that guy. That's not a medical, like healthcare, that's science, that's going back to school, that's requiring training. No. But the seed was planted. The seed was planted. And then a couple weeks later, I was with another neighbor and we were hanging out, and he said, what you would make, what kind of avenue would be good for you? A nurse. And I'm like, what? Where is this all coming from? How is this? But I look back, and those small snippets, those small sentences were the focal point, were the seeds that were planted, where sometimes, like I said, you have to listen to God speak through other people. And sometimes God will use other people to use his voice to speak to you when you're in a situation where you may be depressed, you may be stuck, you may feel like you've settled. And if you listen to those seeds being planted, there's hope there. So I started looking into these avenues of like, okay, well, what would it take? My sister, Donnie Joy, had become a nurse at this point, and she'd done a relatively fast track. So that's what I wanted. I wanted the fast track. I wanted to let's get through it, plug through like a year and a half of schooling. So I got on this journey. So all of a sudden this whole journey started to kind of steamroll. And I was looking at getting into a nursing program. And I decided, let's jump both let's jump both feet in on this and let's get it going. And then another God moment happened for me is where I got fired from that job that I was working at that I feel like I had settled. I got let go. Nothing that I had done. It came out to be where it just wasn't a good fit. But it was the first time in my life in 15, 17 years of working in the workforce of being let go, ever being fired from a job for whatever reason. So that was new to me. But, sometimes when you hear God speak, where doors close, another one will open. And this gave me the time to kind of reflect and go over those statements that were made by my neighbors and those words that started to kind of collect in my brain. And it started me down this journey. So I'm sitting there, no longer having a job. And I wanted to be very aggressive, getting back in the workforce. Obviously I had a family to take care of. I had income that needed to be accumulated. So I got back. I was looking to get back in the workforce, but this time gave me an opportunity to kind of really sit and think. So, like I said, I jumped in with both feet and I got certified as an EMT. I found a training program that was relatively quick. I think it was like 2 months long, maybe 3 months long. I think it was 2 months long. It was a program that was being done. And I was like, okay, not a great paying job, not a well-paying job, but a job. And even though, like I said, I had a bachelor's degree in an unrelated field, sometimes you just have to start over. And this is a true testament to no matter, and I've said it before, if you're 8 or you're 88 in the span of life, no matter what you want to do in life, as long as you give it everything you have, and as long as you have breath in your lungs, you have a heartbeat, and you have a will to do so, you can do anything. Age doesn't matter. What kind of education you have doesn't matter. What kind of status you have, it doesn't matter. No matter where you think, because all of these are in your head. Nobody looks at you and go, oh, well, yeah, you've got an education, or you're this status. How can you think about doing that? Some people are haters, and some people are going to look at you cross-eyed and be like, what are you thinking? What is wrong with you? But it's all in your head when you go, look, I'm 38 and I've got to basically start over. So what? So what? That's what I've kind of come to realize. So what? Like, if you have the motivation to change, if there's something, if you're settling and you need something to change, you need to change it. That's where, you've got however many years in this life, even if you're on your last year of your life and you feel like you got to change, why not? Why not change your life? You want to be just kind of stuck in where you're at, or do you want to have the opportunity to change something? I heard it said, and I forget who I heard say it, but they said there's 2 types of pain in this world, in pain according to life. We have physical pain, we have emotional pain, but we're not talking about that. We're talking about you either have the pain of working through a challenge, the pain of a process, the pain of a journey of getting through somewhere. You have that pain of all the things that it takes to get to maybe a dream or a vision or a goal. There's that pain. Or the other pain is the pain of regret. The pain of saying, I never tried it. And at your end of your life, that pain is going to be so much more impactful than the pain that you suffered, the pain that you went through in the journey to get where you wanted to get to. So with that being said, I took on this journey, and I knew that I had the faith to start something, but did I have the fortitude to finish? That's where it started for me, because there's a lot of things that we can start in this life. We start so many different things, and I'm talking to me here, but I never had the fortitude to finish. Because anytime something got challenged for me, anytime something got a little murky, a little painful, I quit. And I'm going to be honest with you, I quit. I never had the fortitude to finish something. So I started this challenge, no, excuse me. So I started this new career. I got into the EMT, which was a process, which was one of the, I never had any healthcare experience, never had any kind of healthcare. I went to health in high school. I learned about how the body works, but that's about it. No anatomy and physiology, no microbiology, no, chemistry about how chemicals work in the body. That stuff is speaking Chinese to me. I don't compute. Okay. But so I started in this EMT process, and again, it was a hard journey, but I got through it. And then that's where the wheels started turning for the nursing school. I got into the nursing program shortly thereafter, and I started taking classes to get myself prepared for the actual clinical side of nursing program. And as I started before, I started the nursing program still kind of green to the healthcare industry. Yes, I was now an EMT for about, 3 or 4 months. So I'd been kind of introduced to the healthcare industry, doing a little bit of work here and there, as far as just kind of learning the body, learning diseases, learning processes of learning pathophysiology, epidemiology, all that stuff. And so I started the nursing program, and it was great. But as I told you in a previous podcast, the second semester came around, there was a lot of things that influenced my life negatively, and I didn't put the work in that I needed to, and I failed. And I had to re-up again, okay? I had to re-up into the nursing program. It takes about 9 months off, but in that 9 month time, I learned so much more because now I had transitioned from the EMT. There was an opportunity for me to work in the hospital. So I got a job at this local hospital in the emergency department because that's where I ultimately wanted to be. I didn't want to work on a truck, as they say, although I those guys that work on the trucks, running 911 and stuff like that are amazing people. But I ultimately wanted to be in the hospital. I ultimately wanted to be rubbing elbows and gaining knowledge from nurses, from doctors, from physician's assistants, from nurse practitioners. I wanted to gain the knowledge because I knew that's where I would grow ever so more. The classroom stuff would only take me so far. The book knowledge, we've already discussed that. I hate. So I knew that was my learning abilities from that side of things would be very limited. So rubbing elbows, being in the mix, being engrossed in the environment is where I would learn so much more, and there would be no value to it because it would be invaluable to me. So that's what I did. I got a job after about 6 months of working on a truck as an EMT. I transferred myself into the emergency department, and I started working. And after a few months, that's where I kind of failed. But that 9 month gap between where I failed and was the opportunity to re-up, I learned so much more. And again, that's where the marathon running came into play. That's where this new idea of challenging myself kind of came into play. So here we are, right? It is 2021, March of 2021, and I can officially say that I am a registered nurse. Officially, I passed my NCLEX. I passed all the tests that I needed to. I made it. I'm here, and this journey has been absolutely amazing. It's taken me from that point of me failing. The normal time for a nurse of that program would have been 2.5 years. It's been 5 years for me. I've doubled the time that it should have taken, right? But who cares? I'm here, I made it, and I'm ready to take it on. And it's been this journey, it's been this marathon of going from point A to point B. And it's been grueling all the way along. It's been challenging, it's been ups, it's been downs, it's been depression, it's been highs, it's been lows, it's been ecstasy. It's been all of these things in this journey. I graduated from the nursing program after this long process. And even though it took me twice as long as everybody else to get through, I made it here. And that's what counts. And although I'm now 42 at this process in life, at this new beginning of this career, so what? I'm here. That's what it counts. I could still be in that same spot where I was 5 years ago. I could still be in that same position wondering, is this it? I could still be at that same spot where I settled or I was stuck and asking myself, I thought that there was so much more in life. And I have grown so much in this range. So my point is, on that side of things, don't ever give up on yourself. Don't ever let the voices in your head tell you that you can't do something. Don't ever let the circumstances around you stop you from achieving the goals that you want to achieve. Don't ever quit. Don't ever stop. Don't ever give up. If you're 8 or you're 88 and you have breath in your lungs, keep going after it. Keep challenging yourself. Keep motivating yourself to pick up the pieces where you left off and grind and go after it. There's no reason. There's going to be so much more benefits in life if you do what is hard to make life easy. If you do what is easy in life, life will be hard for you. But if you pick up the pieces and do what is hard, do what is necessary, life will become easy for you. The challenges that you put in front of yourself to overcome those obstacles, you keep working forward and you overcome those, you've made those hard challenges in your life easy. And things that now unfold around you, problems and chaos unfolds around you, is easy to deal with now because you've been through the muck, you've been through the mire, you've been through the challenges, the obstacles that you thought were impossible to get over. And now you've overcome those obstacles and you are, gosh darn it, you are an amazing person. And if you can just figure that out, that you have that inside you, we all have it inside us, no matter what you are, who you are, what streets you walk on. Every person puts their pants on one leg at a time. No matter if you have $1 billion in the bank account or if you have two nickels to rub together, you can change and you can make your life better. Just believe in yourself. Believe that you can do it. Whew, man, it's good stuff right there. So we get to the test. So here's what it all breaks down to. So I took my NCLEX test, which is after you graduate nursing school, you apply to take your boards, this NCLEX test. And this is what accumulated this last week. This is what occurred last week. This is crazy. To me, this is absolutely crazy because it's so fitting. I've been studying like crazy. I've been hammering out, test questions and studying to prepare myself to take this test. And in this NCLEX test where you go into a room, it's at what they call Pearson VUE. It's the name of a company. You sit in front of this computer, you sit in a cubicle, nobody else can see you. You sit inside this cubicle, you take this test. The minimum questions that you're going to get on this test are 75. The minimum amount is 75 questions. The max is 145. And that's how they gauge you how good you are. But you don't know how many questions you're going to ultimately get. You can get the minimum and they say, yeah, we think you're ready to rock and roll at 75. You passed, or no, you suck. You failed miserably, and it shuts off on you at 75. Or you could pass at 75. You don't know. Or you can go all the way through. It can shut off at 80. It can shut off at 92. It can shut off at 101. It can shut off 123. You don't know. You don't know when you cross that line. Or, and I've heard this, I don't know if it's true. I've heard this, sometimes you're that lucky fellow, lucky individual that gets the whole enchilada, that gets the whole shebang, 145 questions, just because. So, I sit down to take this test. I sit down to take the NCLEX test, and I've been preparing, I've been hammering out questions, just been ready to go. I feel nervous as heck, but I'm ready to go. So I sit down and I'm taking this test, and the first 70 questions to me was like, okay, this isn't that bad. This isn't that terrible. This is actually not that bad. I think this is going to shut off at 75. And I get to question 70 and I'm like, okay, like I feel good. I feel like I'm answering the questions appropriately. I think I'm getting the right answers. At least that's what I think. This thing's going to shut off. So I get to question 75 and there's a little next button at the bottom right-hand corner. You click next and it's supposed to shut off, or not supposed to shut off, but I'm like, this thing's going to shut off. Answer question number 75, hit next, click. Number 76 pops up. And I'm like, okay, punch in the stomach. I've said a few choice words. So I'm thinking, okay, well, maybe, there was a few hairy questions in there. Maybe I just need to, clean it up a little bit, need to kind of, shave the edges a little bit to make it a little cleaner. Okay, that's what they want to know. Okay, let's do this. All right, so I get to question 80, and then I'm like, doesn't shut off. And I'm like, okay, maybe, maybe I need to push through a little bit more. Okay, let's just push through. Gets to 85, get to 90. And each question that I'm answering is just like another punch in the gut, like full-blown Mike Tyson uppercut into the gut, into the chest cavity of just, torture. Punch after punch. I finally get to like question 95, and I'm thinking to myself, this small voice is in my head and it's telling me, this thing is going to take me the distance. This is not going to end anytime soon. This program, I've got the lucky wild card. This thing's gonna take me the entire distance. It's gonna give me all 145 questions. And sure enough, it took me the distance. All 145 questions until it finally shut off. And there was a couple of times where I had to step back because my mind is starting to mess with me. I'm thinking, like, all of these other thoughts are racing through my head. And I'm like, you start to worry, anxiety, and all these different thoughts are running through my head. And I had to stop a couple times and pull myself back, like, look, bro, you've run a marathon, you've been through cancer. This is not a huge challenge. Take it question by question. Take it answer by answer, just like in a marathon, step by step. Break it down mile by mile. Break it down half mile by half mile. Whatever you got to do, just break it down. Don't look at the end goal. Don't look at the end finish. Because when you're at mile 5 and you said, I still got 20 more miles to go, it's an impossible feat. But if you can just look at your mile 5 and then get to mile 6 and then just concentrate on mile 7, you break it down like that. You go mile by mile. You go step by step. And that's what I had to do. I had to step back and break it down and be like, okay, let's just focus on the next question. Don't focus on how many questions you have left or when you think it's going to shut off. Focus on that. But I finished at 145. It shut off. And, I was completely numb after that, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, just numb. And it took me a couple days to kind of process, like, what happened, like what was going on. But then everything kind of started to kind of make sense. The puzzle pieces started to make sense in my brain. I'm going to see if I can articulate it for you. The puzzle pieces started to put my brain, like, how fitting of a journey where normally it takes the person 70, on average, what people have been telling me, their computers would shut off at 75. The normal nursing education program for, a lot of these nurses would be 2 years, 2.5 years, but it took me 5. How fitting that I got all questions. How fitting that it wasn't going to give me the bare minimum. How fitting it wasn't going to give me just enough to cross the line. It was going to make me earn every single question. Whether it was, maybe I was completely not doing as well as I thought, or maybe this is what I'm going to go ahead and believe with, but it wanted to make me earn every single question. It wanted me to earn every single milestone. And that's what I've taken away from it. I'm like, it made me go the distance. You know what? I can, in maybe 10 years, or I don't know, maybe next week, I'll look at it and go, you know what? I earned what I got. Because in my whole life leading up to this point, everything that I've done before this main journey started, or before this phase of my life started, like I told you guys before in earlier podcasts, I had taken the easy way out in everything I've done in life. Every single, time things got challenged for me, I would quit. I had to earn this. I had to take 5 years for this entire journey, from the first thought, from the first conversation of being an EMT to where I am today. It's been 5 years. I have had to earn every single moment of my life. I've had to earn every single moment up until this point. And it's so much more gratifying. It's so much more fulfilling to know that I have earned this, that I have gone the distance. And I'm telling you what, right now, man, this is all of this journey for me, this whole last 5 years, has only just the training for the marathon, if I can paint it like that metaphor. So when I told you guys before, when I was training for the marathon, I trained for 4 months, 18 weeks roughly. From couch to marathon, I trained, right? And then that gun goes off at race time, and you've got 26 miles to go. This last 5 years has been the journey. This is now the gun that's going off. This is just the beginning for me. I now have the preparedness. I have what I feel inside of me to take on life's challenges from here moving forward. I don't know what's going to happen, but I can guarantee you I'm looking for challenges. I'm going to be hungry to go after life now. Be hungry to go after life. There are so many things that we make in this world. There are so many products that we consume in this world that make our life better. Nobody goes to a pitch meeting for a new product and goes, all right, everybody, thank you for joining us in this meeting today. I've got this thing, I like to call it something that's going to make your life suck more. This product right here is really not going to be a benefit to anybody. It's actually going to make your life worse. Nobody sells a product like that, right? All the products that we consume, no matter if it's a little trinket or something amazing, everything that we produce as human beings on this planet, we produce to make our life more comfortable, to make our life a little bit easier, to make things work out just a little bit smoother, right? But that's because us as humans, we do not like discomfort. We do not like challenges. We like a challenge. We like a competitiveness, but we like it to end at some point. We don't like the challenges to keep going. We don't like that discomfort to keep being thrown at us, right? That's what our ancestors used to do, living in caves and, not having shelter or had to hunt for food. They knew that sucked and that was surviving. We don't need to worry about it then anymore, right? This is 2021. We have every luxury, every amenity at our fingertips whenever we want it. We don't have to suffer. We don't have to have, so anytime we have a little bit of discomfort, a little bit of challenges in front of us, we look for the alternate routes. But that's not the way that you're going to earn life. Is your life going to be fulfilled that way? Maybe you're okay with that. And if you are, God love you. But if you're not finding that fulfillment in your life, if you're not finding, if you feel like you've settled, take the next few days to listen to that inner voice inside you. Okay? Because a lot of times the voices are telling you to sit down, be comfortable, watch some Netflix, chill out, go to the beach, don't do anything, just enjoy. That's enjoying life. To me, is that wonderful? Yes. But is it also boring at times? Yeah. But make this life a wonderful adventure. It's not about the destination. I almost screwed it up. It's not about the destination. It's about the journey. And this point in my life is just the starting gun for me to now run that marathon. I don't know what the next days and years and weeks and months are going to have ahead of me, But I can tell you this, that the fight that I have inside of me, the aspirations that I have inside of me, the mentality that I'm going to take at it is completely different from where I was 5 years ago, where I was 4 years ago, where I was last week. So that's the good news. I'm an official RN, and I'm not here to toot my own horn. I'm not here to toot my own horn. I am here to tell you that there is so much more waiting for you in life. I'm here to tell you that there is so much more that you can accomplish in your life. There's so much more, even if it's just a little goal. Go after it. Make this life a wonderful adventure. Make this life a wonderful journey for you to go after. I believe in you. Thank you so much for joining me on Fill in the Blank podcast. I appreciate everybody's support thus far. If you have a thought, you have a concern, you have something you want to share, throw a shout out me on Facebook. I have my own page, Fill in the Blank Podcast. Go to my website, fillintheblankpodcast.simplecast.com. Reach out to me on Twitter. Reach out to me in any kind of social handle. I'm here. I'm ready. I got some great interviews coming up here in the next few weeks. So I appreciate everybody's support. Continue listening. Like this podcast. Share it with someone who you think might be motivated by it, might be inspired by it. And I look forward to talking with you soon. Thank you. I love you all. Peace.